I'm gonna get demonetized just for talking about this streaming service. Hi, I'm Andre, I'm a black nerd, and I'm a big fan of old school 3-camera laugh track sitcoms. The wackier the premise, I am into it. So when all this news started going around about NBC/Universal's new digital streaming service called Peacock, seriously, you really named it Peacock? I mean, I get it that NBC, the logo is Peacock, but you realize that you've opened yourself up to so many jokes about your name, Peacock. I mean, we took a simple thing like Netflix, which was not dirty in any kind of way, and made it dirty with Netflix and chill. Peacock, you ain't even gotta add other words, just saying Peacock. But yes, Peacock announcing it's coming. Okay, see? Peacock announced its initial slate of programming that's going to be on its streaming service. Of course, one of the big ones that's being talked about is that they're going to be doing another Battlestar Galactica. So there are people who are excited about that, or people who are like, the last one was so good, don't do another one, all that kind of stuff. You can have that conversation all you want to. I'm here to talk about Zach Morris and Punky. They announced a Saved by the Bell sequel series that's going to be executive produced by Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley. And they announced a new Punky Brewster that's going to star Soleil Moon Frye, who played Punky Brewster as a kid in the original series, but now as an adult in the new series. Nothing is safe. Everything from your childhood will be remade again. Now, this is not the first time that the original Saved by the Bell and the original Punky Brewster had some kind of spin-off. Saved by the Bell had, of course, Saved by the Bell the College Years. It was only lasted a season, but it was a show that happened. There was also Saved by the Bell the New Class, where they brought in a bunch of new kids, but Mr. Belding and Screech were still around. Punky Brewster, at the height of her show's popularity, had a spin-off animated series. That was the one where Punky and friends met that magical being, Punky friend. And did you know that only like a couple of years ago, Saved by the Bell and Punky Brewster both got rebooted in comic book form? This is the Punky Brewster series. This is an advanced copy I got before it came out, but the actual book is available like this. And then this is the entire Saved by the Bell freshman year. There's a lot of comics out there beyond Marvel and DC that we could definitely have some talks about if you would like to see those in future videos. I'm just saying. But I just never would have thought that I'd be having a conversation that Saved by the Bell and Punky Brewster, particularly Punky Brewster. Saved by the Bell I could have seen come back because, you know, it's had 30 years. People still talk about it to this day. Punky Brewster was definitely a thing of the 80s. To be able to say that it had a comic book is one thing, but to be able to say it's going to have another run in entertainment is interesting. So let's talk about these series. Let's start with Punky Brewster, because I think this one's pretty standard. We've already seen it before. Fuller House did this same thing, and Disney Plus just announced they're going to be doing this with Lizzie McGuire, where they're going to have Hilary Duff come back as an adult version of Lizzie McGuire. So Punky Brewster is coming back in an adult version of her original character from the show. So if you didn't grow up with Punky Brewster, let me explain the premise. Punky Brewster was an orphan because what happened was she went to the grocery store with her mom, and her mom just abandoned her in the grocery store. I am not kidding. That is the premise of Punky Brewster. An abandoned child in a store who started to live on her own. So Shazam, you're welcome. This old man Henry finds her living by herself in an abandoned apartment, feels bad, takes her in. Of course, the law is like, well, I don't know, you're an old man, can you take care of a child? But eventually, they're all cool with it. And then Punky ends up living with Henry and, of course, making a bunch of friends in the apartment complex, including Cherry, her rich friend Margot, and her dumb friend Alan. And it had this cool theme song, every time I turn around, I see the girl who turns my world around. What's gonna be? Guess we'll just wait and see. Oh, by the way, she also had a dog named Brandon. So according to the premise that Peacock put out, Punky is now a single mother of 3 trying to get her life back on track when she meets a young girl who reminds her a lot of her younger self. Soleil Moon Frye reprises the role that made her famous. So now Punky's an adult, she has her own kids, and she's gonna apparently meet some other kid the same way that Henry met Punky back in the day that she'll probably take in under her wing. And that kind of makes sense that there were 4 main kids in the original show. Now there'll be 4 main kids in this one, the foster kid that she finds, as well as the 3 kids that she already has. They're describing it as a comedy pilot. So it sounds like it's gonna just be a one-off thing, like maybe a special, and if that gets a good reception, then they could turn it into a series. I don't know why they're doing it that way as opposed to just maybe doing a season full of 6 or 8 episodes to test the waters and then from there decide they want to do more or not. But it's Punky Brewster, and it'd be cool to see Soleil Moon Frye come back. Now let's talk about Saved by the Bell. So like I said, Saved by the Bell is going to be executive produced by Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley. They played Slater and Jesse on the show. Mama, you pig, you know, all that stuff, if you know Saved by the Bell. But yeah, Saved by the Bell, of course, the show about the fictional Bayside High School and the cool kids that go there. Zach Morris, the troublemaker, Kelly Kapowski, the girl that everyone likes, Slater, the athlete that comes in, army brat, you know, Jesse, who's always trying to fight for some cause, Lisa, loves to shop, and Screech, the nerd. It was the late 80s, early 90s. You kind of played your type. What's really interesting about this new Saved by the Bell is the premise. Listen to this. Okay, when California Governor Zach Morris gets into hot water for closing too many low-income high schools, he proposes they send the affected students to the highest performing school in the state, including Bayside High. The influx of new students gives the overprivileged Bayside kids a much needed and hilarious dose of reality. Saved by the Bell sounds like somebody's getting woke by the bell. Oh, did you get it? Cause like you wake up from a bell alarm, but like you also woke like what the kid's saying. You see what I did? You not impressed? You shouldn't be. Yeah, for everything about this being Saved by the Bell, it sounds a little Fresh Prince of Bel-Air-ish. It sounds like we're gonna have a little bit of the cool, rich, privileged Bayside kids hanging out with the kids from quote unquote the streets, and see what happens when you have that culture clash going on. Now, before people start getting on their keyboards, social justice. It's Saved by the Bell, y'all. I'm not looking for this to get too deep. Did Saved by the Bell have a few very special episodes that touched on some sensitive topics in the world? Of course they did. But then right after that, you got Zach Morris doing some kind of scheme where Screech makes a cream in science class that gives your blemishes goes away. Or sell nerds kisses to Lisa so she can pay off her credit card debt that her dad doesn't know about. Show that ain't that deep. So I'm not expecting too much from Saved by the Bell to get too, you know, on the nose about what's going on in the world today, but it still could be an interesting premise. Kind of interesting to see this comedic take possibly happen in Saved by the Bell. But again, that being said, it's Saved by the Bell. So expect the wacky. But it looks like they're getting Peter Engel to come back. Like a lot of people that worked on the original show are coming back for this one. Same thing with Punky Brewster. People who worked on the original show are coming back. So I think that's a good thing too, to have the people who worked on the last show come back and work on the new show, so that way they can still have that dose of what made the show work the first time, but also giving a new take on it. But of course, it's yet another show or thing from the past being remade or sequelized or retooled for the new generation. We're seeing it everywhere, and I think we're gonna see it even more with all these streaming services, because the streaming services want you to sign up. They know they need to entice you, so what better way to entice you than bringing back old properties you know and making new versions of them for the streaming service to get you to sign up. If you look at every streaming service, they've done that. Disney Plus is gonna be doing that like crazy, of course, but Netflix has done it, CBS All Access has done it, and of course, they're gonna do it too here with Peacock. There's already been talk about Warner streaming service looking at some of their past TGIF lineup to see if there's some potential shows there that they could sequelize or reboot, such as Step by Step or Perfect Strangers or Family Matters. If you can make a new Family Matters with Urkel and Laura married with a new set of kids, but like maybe one of their kids is like super like Urkel, but the other one is totally not like Urkel, that will be pretty sweet. And maybe we get like a female Urkel. Oh, dude, if you want some ideas, Warners, about your Family Matters sequel series, I got you. So I'm intrigued to see what these are. I don't know the details. They haven't given a lot of details of how exactly the Peacock is going to work. No, show us the Peacock. And if it works for me, if it feels good when I see the Peacock. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get demonetized just for talking about this streaming service. All right, so let's play a game in the comments. You obviously have shows that you grew up on. What show would you love to see come back as a sequel series, where you take the characters from the original show them older now, working with some kind of new generation? If you can even pitch your idea of what that show would be, I would love to hear it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000.